Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel, where everything you're about to hear and see has been done in one take. I'm your host, the One Take Man. I am on Tier Maker today because I just happened to remember that this year will be the 15th anniversary of Game of Thrones, or rather of the premiere of Game of Thrones. And and with that occasion, or maybe not necessarily with that occasion, but um, I thought I would do something to celebrate the opportunity, and I am doing it now rather than rather than at the actual 15th anniversary of the premiere because I don't know. Now is the time that I actually found something I want to talk about. I might do something else for the actual premiere. We'll see about that. And the thing I found out and want to discuss actually revolves around, uh, you know, uh, actually revolves around the reputations of the various characters as fighters. As you can see here, this tier is called Song of Ice and Fire Best Fighters Tier List Maker. I actually found this because I've been going down a little bit of a Song of Ice and Fire YouTube rabbit hole recently, and found Constantine James, who's another Song of Ice and Fire tuber, and one of his videos was about was one where he specifically took this tier list and listed various people, placed various people on it. And well, let's just say I have some thoughts about how exactly he arranged them, and specifically because one of my very few forays into fan fiction was actually writing a battle tournament for Game of Thrones characters. I specify Game of Thrones because I wasn't really as deep into the books at the time, or rather I wasn't really deep into the um, into Ice and Fire Tube as I am currently. So there are lots of things from the books that I didn't know. Uh, Probably also because I didn't read the books, but that's beside the point. So so I thought I would maybe not redo that piece of fan fiction, but I would arrange my thoughts on the arrange my thoughts on who I think the best fighters of A Song of Ice and Fire, according to the material available, actually is. And I do have to specify my sources aren't just based on what I know about from the ether of of what people are talking about when it comes to these characters and how good they are as fighters. They're also based on what I know about what I know about them, having watched the show. So it's basically going to be a little bit of a so all the characters I'll be talking about will be discussed as they are at their primes, uh, uh, and as basically composites. So I'm gonna take the best from the books, the best from the show, and yeah, just kind of make the best possible version of these characters, and then put them up on this tier list. I also changed the names of the tiers a little bit, and allow me to explain. First up is Street Thug. So basically, just a random guy off the street who's looking to punch someone in the face or stab someone. So anyone who has the potential to use violence, but otherwise doesn't really have any specific training with regards to how to use it, how much of a threat that could be. The next tier above that is City Watch. These are the people who already have some training, who already know how to use their abilities, and and who therefore have would have the ability to stop someone of the lower tier. And yeah, that's basically the idea behind. And yeah, the basic idea behind every tier is that if someone is not only is that in general people on higher tiers are expected to beat those on generally expected to beat those on lower tiers. Though there are some exceptions, for example, in battle situations that are a little bit too chaotic, that can change a little bit. Anyway, back to the tiers themselves. Discuss City Watch. Tourney Veteran. this is a character who already has a lot more, a lot more training, and is able to, is able to conduct some more complex operations and strategies, um, but but may not have a lot of actual practical fighting experience. It's just, just down to, it's just primarily down to exercises and the like. Battle veteran, again, it's basically what it says in the name. This character has already been through several battles, has fought for their life, and can handle themselves against against a large majority of potential combatants. Field general is where things get interesting, because these are the characters who not only are competent in battle, not only have proven to be competent in battle, but also have a higher degree of proficiency that allows them to, have a broader tactical understanding of everything that's going on, and that allows them to not only to control their own fight, but also the outcome of a larger multi-man engagement. Kingsguard is, of course, the step beyond that, and it really refers to the the highest you can expect a group of people to be. These are the these are the best warriors, best fighters that that can be found within any specific within any specific location, and these are the people who are expected to defeat basically anyone else in in any kind of one-on-one situation. And then we have Hero of Legend, the absolute top tier. This is for the people who who prove themselves through exemplary leadership, exemplary strategic engagement, and potentially even exemplary conduct as well. These are the guys who, these are the guys whose feats allow them to very much transcend anything that has been, anything that they've been capable, anything that has been showcased by any other character. So they may still lose large engagements, but when it comes to a one-on-one situation, or even or even one versus multiple, they are typically expected to they're not only typically expected to win, but they also can do so with plenty of grace, plenty of flair, allowing them to shine to shine a light and become the best possible example of what someone in their position would be. Okay, now very lengthy. Now that I've gotten this very lengthy tirade aside, let's get through the actual fighters here, because there are 40 people. This thing says 38 images, but but I count 40 here, so I'm not exactly sure how that happened. Anyway, let's start with Jon Snow. Jon Snow. It has been mentioned in the beginning of Game of Thrones that he actually has trainings with that he actually trained with with the Master at Arms at Winterfell. So admittedly, he is trained at least as well as his half brother slash cousin Rob, who I'll remind you is the is the commander of the North Army in the North Army in the War of the Five Kings. But beyond that, his primary experience is in fighting in the north. It is where it is, and he has a more where it is more of a brawling battle. It is more chaotic. It is more. So the typical rules of conduct don't really apply. Still, and I think his more impressive showings would actually come from the show, where he first of all took part in Hardhome, or survived Hardhome, won the Battle of the Bastards, and also defended Winterfell in the Long Night. Still, I am less than inclined to actually take those feats into account because those are part of the worst parts of the franchise. But still, as it stands, I think it's pretty safe to say that uh, Jon Snow at the beginning of the show was basically tourney veteran level. By the end of the show, however, I think I'm more inclined to put him in battle veteran. Spoiler alert: I think the majority of the people here will end up being either in battle or tourney veteran, especially because that's kind of how I typically structure my tier lists. I'm basically grading on a curve, so the middle fields will be the ones that have the most people in them. Next up, we have Podrick. Podrick, who by the end of the series is part of the Kingsguard, but again, I don't really count that because he was. I don't really think that's. I don't think that's uh, fair because I don't really think he has the experience or the expertise that would be necessary to put him there. He is just there because the audience recognizes him. Especially when you consider that when he was introduced in the second season, he was basically not only was he basically a squire, he was more or less the underling for Tyrion. So at that level, he was basically a street thug or city watch level combatant. Then he went on to squire with Brienne of Tarth, and he trained with her basically every day for several hours. So I'm inclined to believe that gave him expertise. And even before that, he was he was able to save Tyrion during the Battle of the Blackwater by killing what I if I recall correctly was a rogue Kingsguard member. Still, that does not mean he is Kingsguard level. It means he just had a lucky break. So I'm gonna put him. I think it's fair to put him at tourney veteran level. Gendry. Gendry at the beginning of the series, I think it's fair to say he was maybe street thug, maybe city watch level because he is still tall and strong. So he has some level of understanding of how exactly to, and also because he works as a blacksmith, he has some understanding of how to use his body and how to, gain some results. So, still, that doesn't really translate to battle training specifically, but it does help. And then he had his adventures with the Brotherhood Without Banners before eventually, in the show at least, going back to going back to King's Landing, then joining the North for the Long Night, with his final whereabouts being the Lord of Storm's End. Uh, Again, I'm not necessarily sure that counts. But truth be told, I am not aware of his whereabouts in the book. So for the sake of this video, I'm gonna say he is. I think yeah, I think City Watch might be a fair placement for him, all things considered. Next up, we have Lancel Lannister. Is this Lancel? I don't know. Kind of looks like him. I want to say I kind of want to say it's Loras, but Loras is already here somewhere. Yeah, right here. So this could really only be Oh, yeah, this is Lancel during the Battle of the Blackwater. Now I recognize it. I have a controversial statement. I actually think um, Lancel was potentially a more interesting fighter uh, later on when he was a member of the when he was a member of the Faith Militant. Even though I think in the books he actually slimmed down and was very pale, very gaunt, during that moment. And therefore, it might be better. It might be better to say that his peak and his actual physical peak was during the Battle of the Blackwater. But even then, like, the, there isn't really much I can hope about him because he was basically his um, he was basically Robert's Chamberlain. So even if he had some tactical experience, I don't think there was much to say about him. And also keep in mind, he later became a member of the Faith Militants. So I think at most he also falls under City Watch level, but definitely under Gentry. So that's where I'm going with him. Marin Trant. I don't really recall any physical engagement that Marin Trant actually had, except for being killed by Arya. But then again, that was him being taken by surprise, so it doesn't. So it doesn't really count as a full-on engagement. Still, he is basically the face of incompetence when it comes to the when it comes to how the Kingsguard has fallen under King Robert when compared to Mad King Eris. So yeah, and also the fact that I haven't seen him battle, except maybe against Serial 4L, who is also around here somewhere. Yeah, he's right here. Um, I don't know. Personally, though, I'm still inclined to put him around City Watch level, above Lancel, though. To be honest, I might move him around a little bit later. And now we have Robb Stark. Robb, I already mentioned, is actually the commander of the Northern Army in the War of the Five Kings. He is one of the Five Kings, actually. But I don't necessarily think that makes him field general level, even though he does actually have some level of tactical experience, and also, but I'm not really sure if any of his battle experience has been described in the books, or and but I can't really say that it hasn't been presented on the show. Like even though seasons 2 and 3 are specifically about the War of the Five Kings, he isn't really shown in battle commanding. So that makes this particular appraisal a little bit difficult. All I've got to go off is his training, which given he's been trained under Winterfell's Master at Arms, it is fair to say that he is at least Tourney veteran level. But uh, beyond that, all I can do is extrapolate from the available information, and the available information does actually say that he was the leader of the Northern Cause, and in that position he may have gained some battle experience as well, which makes me call him battle veteran. I think that's the fairest placement for him. Yeah, just above John, because John may have had some perhaps more battle experience within the show. I think Robb had more clutch moments, or more moments where he really had to uh, prove his competency. So Robb goes up here. Next up, we've got Ned Stark. Ned Stark. Uh, when it comes to what's been shown, so when it comes to his appearance in the show, he mentions in the first episode that he doesn't fight in tourneys because when he fights, he goes all out, and therefore he would kill anyone that he would go into a tourney with, which I may be inclined to believe. But the one fight he is seen in is where he is able to fight, or is able to keep Jaime Lannister at bay, and in the fifth episode of the first season. And I will admit that is a solid uh, performance by him, even though it could be argued he has that ice gives him the reach advantage. But I think the most noteworthy performance by him actually comes from the backstory, when him and six other people were able to defeat three members of the Mad King's Kingsguard, including including Sir Arthur Dane, who's widely considered one of the greatest knights of history. Uh, and that, if anything, really says that he is. Really says that I think he is just a step below a Kingsguard level fighter. So that'll put him at field general level. Next up, we have. How did I forget his character's name? Theon. Okay, Theon Greyjoy, who is actually more well known as an archer rather than a sword fighter, but still, uh, I do want to mention. I still think but still, even if he did only fight with a bow, he still counts as a fighter. So I'm still gonna list him up here. And again, the baseline at the beginning of the series, both TV series and book series, is of him being basically tourney veteran level, because he did also get some training under the Winterfell Master at Arms. So yeah, but how does he develop from that point forward? Well, I think it's safe to it could be safe to say that his peak was actually in season two when when he took over Winterfell. Beyond that, he did actually rescue his sister Yara and I'm gonna say season 8. And yeah, but does that mean anything? Uh, uh, I don't know. I think I'm less than inclined to do so. I still think his peak was here at tourney veteran level, above Podrick, but still, I'm putting it at tourney level. Yara, Yara, I'm actually inclined to put a little bit higher, and I'm gonna make her battle veteran. I think it's fair to call her a battle veteran. She actually led a she's actually noted to be a leader among her people, to the point where she was actually a contender during during the King's Moot, both in the show and in the books. Also she led in a almost successful campaign of rescuing Rob, even though it could be argued that she was heavily disadvantaged. So I think placing her at battle veteran is the safe place to go. Next up, sorry about this. Next up, we have Stannis the Menace Baratheon. This character is more of a meme than an actually effective commander. I think one YouTube commenter once said it very effectively. Stannis's role is to lose when the odds are in his favor and win when the odds are against him. So he, and I have to say, I very much believe that to be the case. Even though, and if you'll remember, at the beginning of this video, I actually wrote a battle tournament for Song of Ice and Fire characters. I think I think Stannis made it to the semifinals. I don't exactly recall specifics, but he did make it pretty far. I mean, and as far as I've been able to assess his capabilities in the show, he's actually a good hand-to-hand fighter. Not just not just in terms of the his engagement on a battlefield. And truth be told, his engagement on a battlefield is a little bit more of an unknown, because what is depicted of him is he defeated Mance Raider's host. He lost the Battle of Vice, as was portrayed in the show. He put up a good effort at the Battle of Blackwater, but still ended up losing. That was more because he was haunted by the ghost of his brother. Still, I will say that he is a capable, a capable warrior, but doesn't really have that edge that allows him to, that really allows him to push ahead. Still, I think he is. I'm very tempted to put him right up here at battle veteran, or I'm gonna put him here at field general for now at least. And I know I've talked a lot and not gone through a lot of names so far, but this is just the beginning of the list. Uh, Once the tiers will get filled up and we'll have a little bit more definition, then it'll be easier to uh, place the rest. Beric Dondarrion. Well, he's noteworthy for dying a lot, and also, and beyond that, I think. Hmm, and beyond that, he was charged. No, he was charged by Ned Stark to defeat, to defeat the Hound and whatever forces he has. And then when that failed, he basically became an outlaw, Brotherhood without banners and such. Um, Still, but beyond that, he doesn't really have. Beyond that, he doesn't really have a lot of feats. So, uh, except for maybe losing to the Hound, even though it could be argued he had the advantage, he was in, he was surrounded by allies and was liberally exploiting the Hound's weakness, aka pyrophobia, but still ended up, losing. So, uh, so overall, I'm gonna put him. I think it's fair to, yeah, here, tourney veteran level. Okay, and now you whose name I've forgotten. Not Roger Castle, Janos Slint. Yeah, Janos Slint is apparently a very experienced ranger within the Night's Watch. So that means he has a lot of experience, not just leading people, but also, but also commanding them. Also, so he has experience leading people, and he also has experience potentially training them, seeing what it is that they can do, and finding out the most effective way to employ them. That unfortunately isn't really showcased in the in the show that much, but through his reputation and through the role that he is capable of fulfilling within the show, I think a fair position would be to put him at battle veteran level. Whether he would whether he would actually defeat John in battle or in a one-on-one engagement is dubious. I'm gonna say he does. I'm gonna say he would defeat John more often than he would lose. Next up, we've got Khal Drogo. Drogo really only has one fight, and everything else is that he is basically by reputation. He is said to have the biggest Khalasar ever assembled, and and being undefeated in battle. But that doesn't really, but that doesn't really say much until you dig through the lore. And one specific piece of lore that I want to explore actually comes from a show only scene, the one where King Robert compares the strengths or the fighting effectiveness of the Westerosi armies compared to the compared to the Dothraki army, and he basically tells Cersei that even though the Westeros armies outnumber the Dothraki 5-1, he still thinks that the Dothraki would either make it very close or outright win. It could be argued. He thinks that way because he could be argued he thinks that way because because he's more afraid of getting backstabbed rather than outright defeated. But still, the fact that the Dothraki have that level of reputation does suggest that they are at least better than the average Westerosi soldier, who would be somewhere around City Watch or tourney veteran level. And Khal Drogo has been able to go on, has been fighting against that level of opponent dozens and dozens of times one on one without ever losing. That at the very least puts him at battle veteran level. But for more specifics, I'm gonna have to look at one battle he has been shown to actually fight in, and that was during the show against one of his Blood Riders. And the Blood Riders and because each call basically picks his Blood Riders, that means that the Blood Riders call chose are the ones that he very distinctly knows are at least a cut above, or at least a cut above the rest. So therefore, it's fair to say that they would all be battle veteran levels at the battle veteran level. and yet Drogo manages to defeat the guy by by stealing his weapon, while also talking about how about what will happen to the guy's body after he dies. So he is very definitely a cut above even battle veteran combatants. So I think it is fair to put him in field general level. I would also put him above. Would be tempted to put him in Kingsguard level, but again, he doesn't really have a lot of feats to where he can make that happen. I do very much. And as for the specifics of who could defeat him, uh, yeah, the, I'm debating as to whether or not he could defeat a Prime Ned Stark. I'm gonna say yes. He's not Kingsguard level yet. I don't really think he has enough feats to where I can put him at that level, but still. He is in field general. Foros of Mir, uh, member of the Brotherhood without banners, but again doesn't really have any feats otherwise. So I'm gonna put him City Watch. Jorah Mormont, first member of Dany's Queen Guard, and he is if I recall correctly, he is the character with the most with the most battles and most victories within the show. So I'm gonna say, and also he was the first guy to break through at the Siege of Pike. One of very few Northerners who was actually given the title of Sir. So all of that does actually mean that he does actually make him a certified badass. How certified? Well, I'm gonna say. I can very much say that his experiences do push him above battle veteran level. Outright, outright field general. Yeah, I think that's fair, right? But still, still below Drogo. That battle tournament fanfic I mentioned actually had these two in the final, and Drogo won. Still, they are not. Still, I'm surprised I haven't put anyone in Kingsguard level yet. We'll see. Arya, Arya is a tricky one to put together her training, because her training is actually very minimal. She has the training of and primarily as an assassin with the House of Black and White. That would give her the battle awareness of someone at field general level, but the physical ability of someone who is at City Watch or Street Fuck level. Then again, she also more or less squired under the Hound when he was doing when he was doing his whole outlaw thing. Sorry about that. And also, she trained under Cyril Forel, the former First Sword of Bravos. So, so I think, all things considered, uh, I think the fairest placement for her would be, yeah, would be 20 veteran level. Yeah, if this were an all-out fight, and someone like season six Arya would be season six or season seven Arya would have to fight against season two Theon. I think season two Theon would take it. Next up we have Euron Greyjoy. Yeah, names kind of slip, but there are like 40 people here, so excuse me. Euron was able to. Well, let's see. He won the Kingsmoot from the Iron Islands. He was able to defeat. He was able to defeat at least I think two of the Sand Snakes in an open battle. But then again, I don't know what that really says about the Sand Snakes. So, if we were to look at Euron from the books, again, I don't really think that Euron has has any feats in physical combat. But still, the fact that he is still, still considered here might matter to something. I'm gonna put him at. Yeah, I think this is a fair placement, 20 veteran level. And Tormund Giantsbane. Again, he doesn't really have a lot of practical training, but he does have plenty of experience with raiding and such. Sorry, my throat is a little bit rusty here. Um, I'm gonna say, but he is a veteran of the Battle of the Bastards. He did fight at Hard Homes, managed to survive that. But beyond that, I think he is. I don't know. I don't really think much of him. I'm gonna say he is. I'm gonna say he's battle veteran level. Loris Tyrell, the Knight of Flowers. Another battle veteran. I'm gonna. Yeah, I think. No, these guys. These guys are actually battle tested in a sense, unlike unlike Loris. Even though his incursion did, to make a difference in the Battle of the Blackwater, that isn't entirely, that isn't entirely his merit. But he did fight in battle. He does have some level of war experience, so that's why he's up here. Next up, I think we have Damon from House of the Dragon. I haven't seen House of the Dragon. I have to be fully honest. So all I know about him is the fact that he gave the Gold Cloaks their name, not just their name, but also their reputation and their training. He very much invested in them to make sure that they are, they are capable. Beyond that, however, I think you would have the typical training, typical military training that would be associated with someone of his position. So he would be. So I think he is really 20 veteran. At. Yeah, I think here. I don't know if he has any battle experience, so for that reason I'm not putting him at battle veteran. But he is definitely 20 veteran. Braun. Someone, the fandom actually, another Ice and Fire tuber, once said that Braun is the biggest winner of the War of the Five Kings because he went into it as a sellsword and went out of it as as basically a lord. So he, so this war basically allowed him to win at life. Who would he win against in in an actual battle though? Um, his first engagement was against the Mountain Clans in season 1. Then he was more or less Tyrion's bodyguard throughout season 2, and he also is a veteran of the Battle of the Blackwater. He was even dubbed Sir Braun of the Blackwater. And beyond that, he has been Jamie's sword instructor, or rather sword fighting instructor, fencing, whatever you want to call it. When he had to retrain to fight with his left hand. So, so it's safe to say he is a. So it's fair to say he is a capable warrior, but is he field general level? No, I don't really see him. I don't really see him there. I think it's fair to put him at battle veteran. Because, first of all, he is a veteran of a battle. Second of all, he does actually have, some level of broader expertise. Not just mountain clans, but also the trial by combat against Sir Vardis Egan, and also the and also his time as a city watch leader actually gave him some level of also give him some level of expertise when it comes to strategic awareness. Next up, Dario Naharis, another member of Danny's Queensguard. Took a while to get to one of these guys again. A very experienced pit fighter, and I don't know what kind of training he got, but he definitely was he was definitely used to fighting for his life repeatedly. So he's definitely battle veteran level. I could also, aside from that, he was one of the captains of the Second Sons, a mercenary company, and I don't think you get to that position without having some level of strategic awareness. So, and also his strategic awareness is strong enough to where he was able to defeat and behead the other captains, and then completely surrender the Second Sons to Danny's command. Does that effectively make him a field general level combatant? I'm actually inclined to say yes, especially when you consider his arc throughout the throughout the show, where he is where he basically becomes the leader of Marine. So his arc is basically the same as Bronze, but um, on steroids. Therefore, I think it is fair to put him. Yeah, it is fair to put him at Field General, even though, but still at a lower end of Field General. Next up, Ario Hota. Ario Hota, the biggest feat that he has is that he is able to defeat a Kingsguard level, even though the Kingsguard doesn't have the same prestige that it once had. And in season 5, he tells Jaime Lannister that if Jaime were in his prime and they fought, it would have been a hell of a matchup. So it is so it is fair to say that he at least considers himself a level with that guy who is basically Kingsguard level, or who has that level of acknowledgement. No, he may not be Kingsguard level precisely. Still, I don't know enough about his feats to put him one way or another. Still, uh, I am I am just rambling now. I think Battle Veteran is the best place for him right now because and primarily because in the books he defeats a Kingsguard, and otherwise he is the leader of the Palace Guard at the Palace Guard of the Martells. Next up, Grey Worm. Remember how I said that the Dothraki are are at least as good are a cut above the average Westerosi soldier. Well, it is fair to the Unsullied are actually considered a step above them as well, or at least they would be if the within the position where they were primarily trained for, which is mainly as bodyguards. So, or as mainly as bodyguards, or in fighting within, uh, I think large open spaces. I'm not exactly sure where they are most effectively deployed. But I can safely say that Grey Worm has been picked out from among everyone within the Unsullied as being as being the best warrior among them, their leader, the one they most effectively look up to. So if the guys whose average is still at Battle Veteran think he is that much more impressive, then putting him at Field General is potentially fair. Is he above Dario though? I'm gonna say no. Sorry, Dario still has the experience that pushes him above that. Next up, character I don't recognize. I'm going to assume it's another House of the Dragon character. And again, I have nothing to say. I'm just going to assume they're a tourney veteran and move on. Next up, that is either Benjen Stark or 1-1 the Giant. This angle really makes it hard to tell. No, I think I'm gonna go ahead and assume it's Benjen. He kind of has that. He kind of has that allure. Even though he's shown from below, 1-1 doesn't really have this fancy armor. So, assuming it's Benjen, who is basically a Night's Watch veteran, yeah, putting him at Battle Veteran is the safest position. Would he be above or below Alistair Thorne, though? I'm gonna say above, because he was actually able to, because especially because if you look at it in the show, he went missing around season 1 and then reemerged in season 6. So he spent some considerable amount of time on his own, in the frozen wasteland. That alone puts him, that quite cleanly puts him above the rest here. And now we have Rhaegar. Rhaegar, as he appears in Game of Thrones, The most noteworthy feat of Rhaegar's is the fact that he was able to unseat uh, Barristan Selmy during the during the tourney at Harrenhal, the one where he notoriously crowns Lyanna Stark as his Queen of Love and Beauty, then kidnaps her, kickstarting Robert's rebellion. Or okay, he didn't kickstart it, but it was one of the dominoes that set it in motion. So he, so and also he was quite well known for being a tourney veteran, for taking part in many, and for being able to typically win. But really the thing he is most well known for is renaming a ford, or contributing to renaming a ford to Ruby Ford. But that really isn't his doing. That's more, that's more Robert's doing, for being able to kill him there and then and there. So I think it's fair to say at their primes, uh, Robert was better than him. But where does that place him? I'm gonna say I think Battle Veteran is the fairest placement. Where exactly at Battle Veteran level though? I think he would be better than Braun. Yeah. Would he be better than Loras? Maybe not. Brienne of Tarth. Brienne actually goes on a lot of more complex adventures in the show, or in the books. Uh, which are in many ways symbolic of gender roles within society. But beyond that, she's able to defeat Loras Tyrell in a Malay tournament. So I think in a Malay tournament. So she's at the very least. I, but however, he wasn't. I don't think he wasn't battle veteran level at the time. Still, she is at least 20 veteran in the beginning. Then I think it is fair to say that she becomes a a battle veteran level combatant. Uh, as On one hand as Catelyn Stark's bodyguard, and then on the other hand as the one who escorts Jamie back to King's Landing. Then she goes right back out and in order to try to uh, recover uh, Lady Catelyn's daughters. So she does. So I think it's fair to say that she is, that she does have at least battle veteran level proficiency. I am tempted to actually put her in field general level, but I don't really know if she has any field general, any field general proficiency. For now, however, I'm gonna put her at the top of battle veteran. I may just reconsider this. Sandor Clegane. What do I do with you, Hound? The Hound actually, I will give this to him. He does actually have some, plenty of noteworthy feats. He won the tourney for Joffrey's name day. Maybe his coronation. No, not his coronation. That was earlier in the show. So he won the tournament held in the honor of Joffrey's name day. He's a veteran of the Battle of the Blackwater, even though he turned tail because he's pyrophobic, as I've already mentioned. He defeated Beric Dondarrion, even though despite Beric trying to use his pyrophobia against him. He has several other victories against a bunch of other against a bunch of other combatants in more irregular battle. So, uh, and also he has two engagements with his brother, which both kind of end in a stalemate. Um, Still, I'm gonna say it is fair to say that he has battle experience. So I think putting him at battle veteran is fair. Would putting him at this position within the battle veteran tier also be fair? Would he be able to defeat Robb Stark in battle? I think I think so. Would he be able to defeat Brienne of Tarth? Well, they did fight and he did lose, but it could be argued that he was working with a little bit with a disadvantage because of an infected wound. Still, I could also argue that Brienne wasn't exactly at the peak of her abilities at the time. So so I still think putting him here makes the most sense. As for his brother, um, controversial statement. I actually think his brother is overrated. Like he doesn't really have any, any major feats. The one major feat he does have is attacking, is attacking Loris in a fit of rage, by surprise, by surprise I may add. Then stalemating his own brother twice. But after that, he doesn't really have any, any. The other noteworthy battle engagement that he gets in is losing to Oberon, which, yeah, I am, yeah, no, I don't find particularly interesting on that level. Still, on account of his size and strength alone, he does actually, yeah, I would say that he is a tough nut to crack, and would potentially be on tourney veteran, even even without any training. But because he has received training, he does definitely go up to battle veteran level, but I don't think he goes any higher than battle veteran level because, as I've already mentioned, he doesn't really have defeats to back that up. I'm gonna put him, yeah, just below his brother. That's fair. And now we have uh, Oberyn Martell. Where do I put you, Oberyn? Well, I already said you defeated, you defeated the mountain, and beyond that, you actually have some experience as a, you actually have some experience as a sellsword in Essos, and um, and also you have some training as a maester, and that gives you plenty of knowledge of both poisons and anatomy, which you can very effectively use to combat, to create more, effective ways of killing people. That I think puts you. I'm gonna say that puts him at field general level, because even though he died fighting the mountain, he basically had the battle won at that point. And not to mention that all throughout that battle, he also had a secondary goal of making the mountain confess to the murder, which which he very much did. And I think that would place him above Grey Worm. So if these two were to fight, I'm pretty sure Oberyn would win. I don't think he would win against Dario though. Next up, we have the Blackfish. Blackfish again doesn't really have a lot of a lot of showings in battle. He is one of the survivors of the Red Wedding. That is very much specified. Or, but beyond that, the most noteworthy showing he does actually have is launching the arrow that that burns his brother's boat. I think I'm still gonna say battle veteran, and I'm gonna say he's above Rob. No Kingsguard or Hero of Legend so far, and that's still very surprising. King Robert. Robert in his prime was an absolute beast. He was able to move, or like he was, like first of all, he was very tall, maybe not mountain tall, but still Sandor. Was still as tall as the Hound, I think. And also, his signature weapon was a warhammer that was so heavy that really only he could like uh, lift and throw around. Not to mention that during the rebellion that was named after him, he only really lost one battle, and was otherwise undefeated. So it is fair to say that he has a strong that he has a that he is a capable commander. But I and I think it is and in his prime he was he won the battle he won the battle of the Trident, where he defeated Rhaegar Targaryen, but also defeated someone who is bound to be brought up at some later point in this will be brought up at some later point in this video. But still, that was a battle situation, so I don't necessarily think he counts to that. He counts to that end. I'm gonna say he's field general level. Is he better than his brother? Yes. simply through the virtue of his experience. Because while Robert was out fighting, Stannis basically spent 12 months defending defending Storm's End. So yeah, Robert has more has more experience on on that end. I still don't think he would. Still don't think he would win against Ned, but you know, what are you gonna do? Next up, Jaime Lannister. Jaime is actually the first sign of the Kingsguard decaying because he was very much appointed for political reasons. He wanted he wanted Jaime to be a prisoner to keep is basically a prisoner for basically a prisoner who would hold his former hand of the king Tywin at bay. And then when the Kingsguard had to be rebuilt, he was one of the most skilled combatants out there. Beyond that, however, he spent most of the War of Five Kings uh, you know either in prison or in transit, and didn't really do much for it. Also during Robert's rebellion, as I said, he was the Kingsguard, and basically it was basically the Kingsguard who stood for for most of the time next to the king. So he doesn't have a lot of battle experience. He is said to be very skilled, but his skill isn't really showcased. Even if going by his prime, there isn't really a lot to go off of. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say he's a battle veteran. Would he defeat the Night's Watch crew? I'm gonna say yes. Next up, another House of the Dragon character who I don't recognize, and another House of the Dragon character I don't recognize. Off to Tourney Veteran tier with you because again, I don't know who you are. Can't really say what it is that you can do. I'm gonna put Podrick under you though because while I don't know what you do, I know Podrick would be is lower than you. And now we reach these two guys. Barristan Selmy, he's a hero of legend. Like, sorry to say it, he just is. He gained his name Barristan the Bold because he snuck into a tourney to take part, and he was freaking 10. Also, beyond that, he was very much well known for being the most chivalrous, the most and the best knight there is when it comes to conduct. And then later on in his in his higher age, when he is dismissed from King Robert or King Joffrey's Kingsguard, he rebels. He openly rebels very much in style. Then walks away, sneaks back into the Kingsguard headquarters to write down his deeds. Runs away again, then comes back again to complete his deeds. This man is very much a beast and a menace. And not to mention that there are people who are sent after him, and he managed to take them down as well. Then he joins the Nurses Queen's Guard, also distinguishes himself there. He did lose at the Battle of the Trident, but again, I'm willing to let that slide because that's a larger engagement. So not really one-on-one. But in most one-on-ones, I am definitely convinced he will be able to, he'll be able to win. I think it is actually stated in the show that he has the most one-on-one victories in history. So him being the hero of legend absolutely makes sense. Next up, we've got Arthur Dayne, another hero of legend, but below Barristan Selmy. Even though Arthur Dayne is mentioned as being this great warrior, as being the great warrior and the best, the best Kingsguard knight of all time, I still think Barristan has him beat specifically because of this, specifically because of the chain of events that I've described. Whereas with Arthur Dane, um, his most noteworthy feats are his battle against the Smiling Knight, which, to be fair, is a noteworthy victory, and the fact that he lost at the Battle of the Tower of Joy. Still, not you know, so still, so while he is still a noteworthy figure, he doesn't exactly, he doesn't exactly have the record to back that up, to back up his reputation. Barristan Selmy absolutely has. Next up, we have Sirio Forel, former First Sword of Bravos. I don't know if he has any battle experience, but I can say that he is able to defeat. No, I can say that he is able to defeat two Lannister guards, while fighting with a wooden sword and no armor at all. So it is really only when the Kingsguard coming in with with more equipment and better with better equipment than the previous that he actually he actually starts struggling. Uh, Also, I don't know if he has any battle. I don't know if he has any battle experience with the uh, coming from his reputation, but I think it is fair to say that he would. So I will put him in battle veteran, but I'm not exactly sure at which we're exactly at battle veteran. Mm, yeah, I think this is a good place for him. Just below these, just below the classical knights. While I have no doubt that they would, that they would struggle against him, they would still win. And last but not least, the third woman of this, on this tier list, Ygritte. Ygritte, again, most of her training has been, most of her training in combat has been on the job, and um, and and she has plenty of battle experience. Though she did lose at the, in the battle of, no, she did die in the battle of Castle Black. Um, she nevertheless has a lot of successful engagements, which make me very much call her. I'm gonna put her at battle veteran level. Where exactly at battle veteran though? Um, would she? Yeah, here's the question. Would she defeat her love interest, Jon Snow? I'm gonna say, if it's from a if engagement starts from a distance, I think John knows enough about her to where he can to where he can close a distance and and defeat her. If it's up close, mm, I don't know. I my heart says that he would, but my heart says that she would defeat him, but my brain kind of says he would win. So so I'm just going to say that. Uh, so I'm gonna say that he goes. You know what? Nah, screw it. I'm putting her over him. Done. And yeah, that was it. Surprisingly, no Kingsguard level opponents or Kingsguard level combatants. Though there are some who I would say, I would call close. No Street Fogs either. That's interesting. I could simplify this tier list, but even if I simplified it, Battle Veteran would still be by far the most, the most numerous. Is there anyone I would want to move around? Um, no, I'm happy with it being as is. So, yeah, this is my thought. This is how I think the best, the best fighters from A Song of Ice and Fire, um, stack up. Be sure to let me know how wrong you think I am. I very much look forward to I very much look forward to that being the case. Until then, um, thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed watching me go through this ranking, well then please like the video, like the video. Maybe even share it wherever you think other people will also like the video. If there is anything you'd like to, you'd like to add, either to the fighters themselves or how I rank them, that's what the comment section is for. And if you want to see when my next video gets released, well then please subscribe, and ideally also ring the bell or do whatever else YouTube will ask of you in order to keep you notified. I also have a main channel where I talk about the print medium and selected works therein. Not A Song of Ice and Fire, not yet, because those books are freaking huge. But I might get into them at some point. Um, so anyway, if you're in, so if my thoughts on the print medium may be of interest to you, then I suggest you go ahead and check it out. It's in the description down below, right past my social media links, which I also suggest you check out should you choose to. If, however, you find yourself to be less than interested in that, well then I suggest you stay on this channel and go for my extensive backlog, where where aside from ranking videos, I also do a lot of reviews, retrospectives, and pitches for television, for cinema, for gaming, and also a variety of videos on a whole bunch of other topics. One of these is bound to grab your attention. If you don't really, if you're not really interested in having your attention grabbed at the moment, well then I suggest you go ahead and do whatever you want the rest of your day, because it is your day after all. And yeah, that was it for me. So until next time, I have been the One Take Man.